Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. Tonight we have The Siren. So, The Siren is by Kuro Okami23 on creepypasta.wiki. I will note that this is one of their first attempts at writing a creepypasta, according to a comment they left at the bottom of the story. And I guess we'll dive into this. So there's a little brief blurb about how the story is fiction, like kind of like an author's note sort of thing. And then we kind of dive into this, these journal entries by one Gerwald Mintz, the sheriff of the town of Ravenwood. Over several logs spanning hours in 2 days, like each log is separated by hours in the course of 2 days. We see that folks in Ravenwood are sighting a strange dark bird creature with a 35-foot wingspan. Things escalate when a woman is found dead, though she has no discernible marks or evidence to show how she died. She simply expired. Though the sheriff does find a video camera while on scene. Reviewing the footage, he finds that the creature attracted the woman into the woods with a song, and then pounced down on her from above and swiftly fled, leaving her lifeless body on the ground. He noted that in the picture it had 2 red glowing eyes. Unable to wrap his head around the mystery creature, he locks up the police department door and heads home. While taking a walk that night to fumble through his thoughts, he sees a figure by the forested tree line, and it begins singing a mesmerizing tune, getting into his head and luring Gerwald to them. This figure is in black head to toe, with an equally black set of wings on its back. Before it can lure Gerwald too close, another officer shows up and begins shooting at the creature, or at the figure, and the figure launches into the air and flies off, but not before giving Gerwald an unnerving smile. About this point, Gerwald goes unconscious, and he wakes up 2 weeks later in hospital the next town over, and begins lamenting about the creature he saw. He figures it's a siren, and that it eats souls, and that it almost ate his soul. 2 months later, he begins hearing the singing again, and deduces that the siren is back. And that's about the end of the story. That's where it kind of stops. We then get a little bit of an author's note. Second, while I quickly check it. Basically, talking about to the people who are reading the story, and saying that there's a lot more to the creature, and that it has there's more truth to it, but the character in the story doesn't know about that kind of stuff. So, and then they thank the reader for reading. So that's the end of the story. So I guess we'll go on to everyone tolerates the Grammar Inquisitions at this point. So I've got these labeled out by their log entry dates. So that's all right with you guys?
Tend to always do that. Well, I tend to always do that.
We didn't do it last time. Yeah, we didn't do it last week, which was a logged entry, and I kind of felt that might have been the reason why it was such a long episode. Because we didn't have it organized. So no, we'll keep this one organized with the dates. So starting with the first log, September 27th, 2008, 9:15. Unless you guys have something to do with the stuff that happened, like the little intro blurb that happened prior to the vlogs.
No, nothing grammar.
Mikey, you have nothing?
Nothing.
Cool. All right. Starting off with the first entry. The town of Ravenwood has always been a quiet one. It has a population of around 1,000, and there is very little crime or things of the such. So two little nitpicks here. And one of these is more of an actual thought, I guess, but the other one is a grammar inquisition, so I'm including it for the sake of expediency. I would have given a more specific population size than just around 1,000. Generally, at least in horror fiction and media, the sheriff is in charge of the sheriff who's in charge of things. They're generally in charge of like knowing the town's population size and like have an accurate census data sort of thing. Just from movies and stories that I've read, like the sheriff usually knows that kind of stuff, or is usually in charge of like putting that number up on like the town sign kind of thing. So like when people leave, they have to like reduce it, or when people get added, they have to add the number, or they have to increase the number up and stuff. But my actual nitpick for like grammar acquisition stuff is I would have gone with like rather than such at the end. So it's like, and there is very little crime or things of the like. Because I don't know, there's just things of the such doesn't sound right to me, but
Honestly, I would have gotten rid of all of that section. The or things of the such isn't needed.
yeah, that works as well. And there's very little crime. Period. Done.
Yeah.
Moving on to my next one.
So it's a dialect thing that we don't know about.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it could be a regional dialect thing, like how some people in like the South have like certain things, or like we have certain A's.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Moving on to the next one. In this town, if something happened on the West End, everyone on the East End would know by the next day. Word gets around quickly. So that was all one sentence and like with a bunch of commas. At the beginning, after town, I'd have actually added a comma. So like in this town, comma, if something happened on the West End, comma, everyone on the East End would know about it by the next day. And then at that part, I would actually remove that comma and put a period, or at least or even maybe a semicolon to kind of like end that part, and then like go into word gets around that quickly instead of just word gets around quickly. Because like it adds a little bit more like kind of conclusion to that sentence. And my next one.
I thought it was fine, but I guess it works either way.
Yeah, again, a lot of my stuff is kind of nitpicky, but just as I was reading it, like I was kind of going into editor mode, like, oh, this might be a good suggestion for this kind of thing. My next one here. I heard about this thing from a caring old lady that I visited almost every day. She was talking with her friend when she saw me and called me over. She then asked me if I knew anything about the thing that's been flying around. So that, despite my pauses at the appropriate times, like when I paused, there was actually a comma. And I feel like this story uses a lot of commas, and where there should be periods. And I hope that's not a trend in this story. Is what I wrote after that, and my update is like it is kind of a trend in this story. Like they use a lot of commas where I feel like a period and like a new sentence should start. And my next one. I told her that it was probably just a migratory bird. Since it's autumn, there were several different species of bird that stopped by the town to take a break. So given the size description that we get of this bird creature, I think you actually wanted to add a flock of migratory birds instead of just a singular bird, to kind of like give like the size of like, given like that we already know like that's a large like wingspanned bird, or like a 35-foot wingspan bird. So maybe chalking it up to like the V formation of migratory birds, like a flock of birds, rather than a singular bird.
Or the old, like if the old lady doesn't know every single bird in the world, she could just be like, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't just a big bird.
Yeah, but
Like if she knew for a fact it was one thing, and if she is already mentioned to be unreliable.
That's
so,
true. But
yeah.
this is the sheriff telling that to the like giving this this suggestion to the old woman. So like I just felt like the sheriff shouldn't think that there's a 35-foot bird. Like he should should think that it's probably just like somebody missaw the mass of a flock of migratory birds, like the Canada geese going in like the V formation kind of thing.
I think what he's going off is the fact that she might be over exaggerating the size of it.
That's possible, yeah.
Like an albatross is like 12-foot wingspan.
Yeah.
So an albatross flew over your head real quick.
You'd think it was huge. Like a lot bigger. You'd embellish it, I guess. Yeah, okay, I could see that maybe. All right, and that's the end of my notes or my grammar inquisitions for that log. Do you guys have anything for this log?
I do.
Okay.
All right. It was a dead woman, around the age of 25 or so, long brown hair. So it really just needs a with long brown hair?
Yeah. It's like he's taking... I mean, he is technically taking jot notes, but yeah, no, I agree. Like, it should be... Like, yeah, there should add a few extra words there.
And then that's what I have for this section.
All right.
I suppose my turn now.
Yep.
She then looked up into the sky to see what it was. It was, according to what she saw, a thing with wings like a bird, but was so much bigger. The way that it was written, I just kind of felt like it would kind of flow better this way, because like it's very description-y, but like unnecessary. So the way I rewrote it is, looking up into the sky, she saw... Okay, right. I normally put a little bracketed section talking about what my problem was, but I didn't for this. So my problem with that quote... Huh?
I'm just wondering if it's because of the sort of sentence ending with "it was" and then the next sentence beginning with "it was."
I was just about to say that, so yes. Yeah, because then she looked up into the sky to see what it was. It was, according to blah, 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 so it was repeated.
Yeah.
The way I rewrote it was, looking up into the sky, she saw what it was. According to what she saw, it was a blah, 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 blah. Just so it isn't jammed right next to each other.
It's not immediately, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
And then my next one is to do with consistency. So the first quote is, I'd listened to humor the old woman. She wasn't the best in the head, meaning that she has been, in italics, meaning she has seen, italics, things before. Meanwhile, there was a quote earlier that said almost everyone in the town was a little scared of single quote, shadow, single quote.
Huh.
They're both sort of like emphasis on a word, but they're doing it very differently.
Yeah, like they should use
quoted,
one
one italic. Yeah, basically.
And we all know how you feel about italics.
Yeah, they're annoying.
Yeah. Because depending on the font, they're generally not the same. Like they're not always noticeable.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay if it's all italics or all quotes. It's just one or the other, you know.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Mix it up.
Yeah, it's like diary and journal from the Sonic round 2. Like consistency.
Yeah. Then my last one, I might as well just go over because I don't have any grammar related things for any of the other sections. But this one is just kind of a across the whole story one. Yeah. Pretty much the entire story is made out of small paragraphs, no more than 3 sentences or so. And it jumps to a new paragraph without the subject even changing. Throughout the entire story, to the point that I made a note on it.
Okay, so like there's no change in subject, so it really these three or less sentence paragraphs should really just kind of be combined to longer ones.
Yeah, like for example, this one, in the section we're talking about, it says like in this town something happened, blah 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 blah. There's a giant bird or shadow going around in the night sky, and then it jumps saying almost everyone. It jumps to the next paragraph saying almost everyone was at least a little scared of the shadow, blah 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 blah. Just for two sentences, and then it jumps to where he heard it from. Meanwhile, that little 2-sentence section could just be part of the paragraph before it.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's still just describing the shadow creature.
Yeah. It really gotta. Like the only time you really separate a paragraph like that is if you use dialogue, because the dialogue always goes like you always like start a new line when you do dialogue, or at least I've heard that is usually a good trend to continue or to keep.
If the subject is the same but it's now dialogue, you break it.
Yeah.
If it's all just journal format like this, yeah. Wait, that's all I got for grammar.
Okay. Then I guess we'll move on to the next one. So this is September 27th, 2008, 14. I guess I'll just go by the times until we hit the last one. So this is at 14:45. Then I realized something. The old woman I was talking to earlier today told me about a bird-like thing. So again, two things here, kind of nitpicky. Wouldn't use then at the beginning here. I would have gone with at last. I realized something, because the like before he's like thinking on like something, like he's like remembering something. So it then like I would have used at last for this one, or even after a brief moment, because he takes a moment like while he's like in the last sentence he was taking a moment to like kind of muddle through his thoughts, and then it's like then I realized something. Just think there's some better ways to bring up that revelation or that realization. And then
like how else would that work? Because he's watching the video, paying attention to the video, paused it, looked at it, and then he realized something.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, I'm offering some solutions, because I just don't like then at the beginning of the sentence. Like I feel like it could be something different, like at last or after a brief moment. That's what I was getting at. Again, it's very nitpicky, I know, but here we are.
Really cementing your ownership of the Nook.
Yeah, well, I gotta assert dominance of the nitpick Nook.
That's fine.
So
We rented it to you.
And speaking of nitpicks, yeah, it's on loan. You're gonna say something, Mikey?
yeah, so basically you want something like, I paused the video, and while I was thinking about it, I realized ... type thing, as opposed to then I realized.
Yeah, I guess.
It's just not wordy enough to
Yeah.
describe enough of the thought process. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Again, it's a nitpick, but it's here. And then speaking of my second nitpick, so it's told me about a bird-like thing. Bird-like is actually supposed to have a dash between them, and like so it's like to make them one word, like bird-like, or it's like the same thing that you do for like bird-esque. Like you had like dash ESQWE, or no QUE. So yeah, and then I'll go on to my next one here. I realized that those dots were its eyes. I think you want, I then realized that those dots were its two eyes, or were its eyes.
Yep.
And then my next one here seemed like something out of story. I think you want something out of a story. Just missing the of there. And then my next one here, I couldn't come up with anything. I decided to sleep on it. So deciding that, I locked up and left. I rewrote this sentence because like I would have gone like this route. I couldn't come up with anything, comma, so I decided to sleep on it and locked up for the night. Like, because it's the original one. There's a comma after, like it's like I couldn't come up with anything, comma. I decided to sleep on it, period. So deciding that, comma, I locked up and left. It
Yeah.
just the one
It's
I
kind of like
yeah.
weirdly jot for me.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like this is somebody's like journal, so like sometimes that's the case. But yeah, I don't know, just proper grammar.
Also, like the doubling up on deciding.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same thing with like the what it was
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. My note on that was the double up on deciding, and there's no period at the end of the sentence.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Mother of God. All right. Do you have anything else for that for this entry there, Mikey?
Nope. And I'm good until we get to an it story.
All right. So on to my next one, which is at 22:35. The sound was deafening. I couldn't stand up straight. I wasn't fully out though. I couldn't move, but I could hear and see, even if there was a ringing in my ear and my vision was blurry. And the use of commas where personally I would have placed periods. So, for example, like the sound was deafening, period. I couldn't stand up straight, comma, though I wasn't fully out, period. I couldn't move, comma, but I couldn't hear and see, period. Yeah, there's way too. Yeah, there's like I feel like again, like I stated earlier, some of the there's some commas in this one where I feel like a period would have sufficed. So, just kind of like as much as like it would have made the like really short sentences. Sometimes that is a good thing, in some cases,
Because it's like short and to the point.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the way that you were going to finish that was, considering you just perioded it, was if there was there were just like remove even if and just go there was a ringing in my ears and my vision was blurry.
Yeah, exactly.
These weak arms are heavy. Mom spaghetti.
Arms like noodles. And then this one's kind of a silly one, only because I kept reading it wrong and kept speculating. So I'm just gonna read the sentence and then I'm gonna tell you how my initial like thought on it and then how I would have fixed it. So bark shot off from a tree near his head. I saw that happen before I heard the bang. So I kept reading bark shot. And initially I was like, does he mean like the bark of a dog was shot off? But then it was like, or does he mean like buckshot off of the tree? And then I realized it's like bark coming off the tree. So the way I would have done it, just to kind of clarify it, for people stupid like me who kept rereading it wrong, would to add so bark fragments shot off the tree, or chips of bark shot off from a tree near his head. Just because like bark does have a couple of different connotations, and if you're reading it too quickly, it almost sounds like you're misspelling buckshot.
Well, if you just remove shot and go like bark flew off from the tree.
Exactly.
You know,
yeah.
I think
or
the main
bark
problem
splintered
is
off of the tree. Yeah. That's exactly my notes there. So, and then we go on to October 14th, 2008, 12:25. I have nothing for that grammar position. So that is the end of my grammar positions. Mikey, you said you had a conjunction junction or an it story?
Just an it story.
All right. And now an it story with Mikey. The E stands for evil. Take it away.
It was, according to what she saw, a thing with wings, like a bird, but was so much bigger. It was a dead woman, around the age of 25 or so, long brown hair. It was facing the woman, and was still recording. It was a normal, average recording. It was late at night, maybe early morning before light. It was quiet for a few seconds, then there was a rustle, the static appearing again. It had to be some kind of bird, but there was no bird in existence that had a wingspan of 30 feet. It unnerved me, to say the least. Bright red eyes on a pure black blur from the video recording. It was late at night, and I was taking a walk to relieve myself of some of the stress that this murder has brought about. It wasn't heart attack. I have seen how a person looks from a death by heart attack, and that wasn't it. It was about 6'11", maybe 6 feet tall. It looked like a man, so I spoke out to it. I asked him what he was doing out so late. It sounded like it was coming from everywhere, like it was just in my head. It was beautiful, sounded like 1,000 voices in perfect harmony and sync. It seemed like it was coming from the figure. I wanted to hear more, so I moved forwards towards it. It looked like a young man, only around 19, 20. He had jet black hair and red eyes. It has been playing in my head.
Fin. All right, so I first off, I have to commend whoever's ringtone went off right. I was like, it was a dead woman's body.
That was me.
That was perfect. Secondly, I'm trying to look right now. I'm not sure if it's because of like the an audio connection that we just had, but like, does it say it wasn't heart attack, or does it say it wasn't a heart attack?
It wasn't heart attack.
Okay, I feel like we have a grammar inquisition there because it's I think that the A should be there then. Yeah.
It wasn't heart attack-y?
It wasn't heart attack. Yeah.
Like, missed my entire joke.
Canadian. All right, moving
Yeah.
on.
Duh. Oh, duh.
All right. And Gamer, you said that you have nothing else for grammar inquisition?
Yes.
All right, then we would move on to actual thoughts. So, gonna start off with the beginning of the story, like right before the first log entry, where the author's note, like, this story is purely fiction and similar in any way is coincidence, blah, blah, blah. And then it goes to, Gerwald is a 41-year-old man that looks like your stereotypical officer, mustache and graying brown hair in shape. Okay, for a second there, I reread that. I was like, mustache and graying brown hair in shape. Those aren't shapes, those are colors. But then I realized it's like that he is in shape. Not okay. It kind of countermands my thought here, but this is. I was like reading this. I was like, you know what? This is actually an interesting way to take an interesting take to describing your narrator, who's also named in this one, which good on you. In a story that might not necessarily give us a descriptor of our narrator. So I don't necessarily hate this way of having a descriptor right before we go into like the log entries and stuff like that of a narrator.
Yeah.
So we kind of know what we're getting into, or like we kind of know like a rough descriptor of the character that we are kind of inhabiting while we read these journal entries.
Yeah, I have a note on that too. There's
Okay,
problems with it though, because I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
like you. I like that I'm going into the story with a face of the main character. But since it's a journal, there's really no good way to talk about how he looks without it being odd or forced.
Oh,
like, sure, the journal would be like, "Hi, my name is Gerwald. I'm 41. I love long walks on the beach." It'd be weird.
Unless of course, like, as part of the transcription to the journal entry, or even like as a photo to accompany this story, we have like the the inside of the cover of the journal, and there's a photo that he's like clipped onto his or that somebody's clipped onto the journal to show the character, and then also this journal, it belongs to Gerwald blah 41.
But here's the big problem I have with it.
Sure.
It's the fact that, yes, we get a descriptor. The descriptor is he looks like your stereotypical officer. Like, the descriptor is saying that it's a very bland look, so much that it's stereotypical. So if it's that stereotypical, it's probably what you would have assumed even without a description.
That is true.
So pretty much the only important information is he's 41.
He has a mustache. Graying brown hair,
everything
and
else,
is in shape.
Even the graying brown hair, you would assume, because that's.
I mean, I think the most is like in shape, maybe, because as soon as I think of like a sheriff, I kind of immediately go for the donut eating cop, like sheriff from or chief of police from Simpsons.
Well, I mean, that's how it is in like media.
Every media thing ever, but
in real life they're not.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's actually a good thing to also put in there, is like in shape, to kind of counteract that. That's part of the stereotype. But
yeah,
all right. And I guess I'll move on to the actual the first log entry, which is September 27th and 9:15. The town of Ravenwood has always been a quiet one. The town of Ravenwood. Ravenwood.
Is that a problem?
Wow. It took me reading the story, taking my notes, getting them together, and then as I was started writing the rundown for this, I wrote Ravenwood as the town name, and then I realized the town's name actually relates to the creature.
Why? Because it has black wings?
Because it's the black-winged, like, birdman. And the town's name is Ravenwood.
I mean, if he was actually an anthropomorphic raven or something, then yeah.
I'm sorry,
it's a light connection. It's not a heavy connection.
Once I realized that it was once I re-realized that the town was called Ravenwood, I was just like, okay, no, that's actually a nice little connection to the town to the creature kind of thing.
It's a raven-like thing in the forest.
Yeah, it's like the town of from the movie Darkness Falls being called Darkness Falls, and the creature in that movie is an apparition who attacks people and grabs people from the dark and is afraid of light. Or in Alan Wake, where you're fighting a giant darkness monster, the town that it presides in is called Bright Falls.
Do you think Ravenwood's a little too on the nose, though?
I'm kind of conflicted about it, because I'm like, on the one side, it is a bit on the nose. On the other side, if I was to like poke fun at that, I would have to poke fun at things like Alan Wake, and I don't want to do that because it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite video games. But also, like, fiction tends to do that a lot. Like media, like in stories and in movies and in video games, they tend to like have these kind of connective like names and terminology like that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It would work really well if this town has always had a local legend about a giant raven-like creature in the forest, but it only just started killing people. But it sounds like it's a brand new thing that people are talking about.
Unless
it's almost like the town's named after this creature, even though the creature just showed up.
Unless, and we'll get into this in a note farther down my page here. But what if the creature has just started feeding for some reason? And we'll get into that when I go into into some of my other notes. So moving on to my next one here. So this is when the creature first kind of comes up in mentions. So when a few people started talking about something like a giant bird or a big shadow going around in the sky at night, it reached my ears fairly quickly. And my first comment was like, yeah, another cryptid bird monster! At least that was my initial thought. And then later on in the story, we get this. This is in September 29th, 2235. I saw the being start walking towards me. It looked like a young man, only around 19 or 20. He had jet black hair and red eyes. I saw that he was wearing black combat boots, dark pants, and a black turtleneck. I saw that my assumption was correct. He had wings. They matched his hair, and what he was wearing, pure black. Okay, so it wasn't actually a bird cryptid, but it is still kind of a neat monster. Kind of like a dark angel, or like some kind of like, or like it says a siren, or even like you can go with like maybe even the Strix, from certain folklore. I would have liked a little bit more build up and interaction with the creature than just like the initial kind of skimmed murder investigation, and then this kind of quick and dirty encounter that the sheriff has. Kitchen idea, and this is kind of comes back to what I was saying about the town, like what we kind of brought up with the town's name being connected to the creature and some of that. Kind of want this to become a buddy horror. maybe the sheriff here encounters the siren again after the story, like after that, like that last part, like the siren is here. But he either realizes the creature is misunderstood and befriends him, maybe helping him fight off his hunger, or maybe even going after another kind of siren-like creature, maybe even like a Strix, because Strixes are kind of like sirens, as it's described in this, where they're basically a bird-like vampire creature from like the Mediterranean.
Like some other bird creature showed up and like got into the siren stomping grounds where he normally hunts, so he has no food and he's starving to death.
Yeah, or maybe even the siren isn't actually the one killing the. Maybe it's basically there's another lookalike kind of monster like the Strix that has showed up and is being basically the siren is getting the blame for the death. And so yeah, like you said earlier, like the town's name is actually named for the creature that's been here, that was here before the town started. And it's kind of like a watcher of the town. But then these deaths start happening, so they start blaming the local cryptid, when really it's just an invasive species that showed up.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, for the buddy horror thing, maybe that's all part of it, of the sirens like play with your food scheme. Like we get a little bit extra content here where like it leads up to where the Gerwald thinks that he's befriending the monster when really the monster's just playing with his food, and it like leads to the ultimate demise of Gerwald.
Yeah.
Just some food for thought, for a kitchen idea. If I was to use this as inspiration for like a game idea, I'd probably run it in Night's Black Agents, because they have a fantastic vampire creation or vampire generator system where you can like make your own like vampire or like soul sucking or blood sucking or mind sucking monster. And Strixes are actually in there as an example creature. So, yeah, just some kitchen stuff that came from reading the story. Do you guys have anything for 2235?
My stuff's all over the place.
Yeah, sorry, not 2235, 915. Or do we just have like general stuff?
I have stuff all over the place, so it's
I assume we're going to be doing this the way that we normally do this show. Or you read through all of your notes on a section, then jump to another person.
I was going. That's yeah, but when it comes to log entries, I thought we were going to do. I figured we'd do it like each log and like go by log entry. But okay.
Yeah.
Well, this story is so short that you almost don't need by log entry.
All right, fine. I'll just.
I misunderstood you. I thought we were doing log entry. I don't give a shit. Just go do whatever you want. If you want to pass it off, pass it off. If you don't, then don't.
All right. Well,
but the quicker answer is if Mikey doesn't have it set up into log entries, then do you?
I don't have it set up in log entries.
Okay, then just read it all.
Fine. Tried to be organized, and I just got shit on. All right. So moving on to
We're not shit on you. We're
1445.
shit on Mikey for not being organized.
Yeah, I know. All right. Anyways, next one here. At this time, there was faint static on the video. She asked her friend if she could hear that. Her friend just looked at her confused before replying that she did not. The woman then started walking towards the woods, camera facing in front of her. So I use this quote, though I think it happens a lot sooner, like even with the old woman and like the body being examined and stuff like that. I really feel like you should name the victims in the story. Like narratively speaking, it's not too hard to believe that that a small town sheriff knows people's names. So he like, and it would add a little bit more gravitas to the death if we actually have a name to the victim, or a name to their friend, or a name. The old woman's kind of a little bit like less on a lesser degree, but I still feel like you should have names for characters other than the old woman or this dead woman and her friend, because you keep like as I was reading this part, I was kind of getting a little bit distracted by the fact that it kept bouncing between the woman and her friend. I was like, who the hell am I like? Who am I like reading about right now? Is the friend or the woman? Like,
Also, in regards to the old lady, he said he heard about this thing from a caring old lady that I visited almost every day.
so he should know her name. I was like, oh hi, old
Yeah.
lady.
Not a very good sheriff.
Yeah, no, not really. Like, yeah, just not a really good sheriff. Like, gotta know how many people are in your town, not just you maybe about 1,000. Who's counting?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's not like it's important if somebody dies or leaves or a baby's born. 1,000 roughly. Or like that old one. It's like, oh, that woman, like the dead woman, and she no longer needs a name. She's just dead.
She's just a body now.
Yeah,
Like even the cop that called him.
Yeah, even a cop. Yeah, exactly. The cop. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
And
Or,
it doesn't
yeah,
even have to be like full names. Like he doesn't have to know the full name of everyone, but he could be like, gets to the crime scene. It's like, oh crap, it's Mr. Henderson's daughter. Damn it! Like
exactly. Yeah.
even just
like,
something like that.
Yeah. And actually going on with like the whole like the cop name thing. We go into this part on this is in log entry 2235. My co-head of the PD was the one that found me. After the mail had gone, he came up to me and I allowed myself to become unconscious. So that sentence has a few things for me to deconstruct about. First off, co-head? I guess that might be a term for subordinate or fellow cop, but like, it would
like
not have been my first choice.
Sheriff situation.
Yeah, like I don't know, like I've never heard that term, but like I'm not going to say that I'm fluent in everything police procedural or something like that. So it might be a term for like your petty officer or like the guy just under the sheriff, maybe. But
Oh,
like
it sounds like they share responsibilities.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like they share. Yeah.
I mean, like they're even at the same like tier of chain of command.
Yeah.
It's co-head. Like they're both the head of police.
Yeah, like they're both the share. They're both like share equal responsibility at the PD, at the police department.
Which I understand because there's so much work to be done in this town of 1,000 people that has almost no police cases.
Which
needs to be a co-head of police.
How many? Didn't it say that they had like a fair amount of police too?
Yeah, I have a note here about that. Like
there's like 30 of them there.
Well, basically, when he gets to the crime scene, there's 3 other squad cars, and the scene is taped off with 4 officers within the taped area and 2 officers dealing with the crowd.
Yeah.
So,
like,
not that many.
Like, but
sorry, continue, Mikey.
Yeah, the issue is that the town, because it's only around 1,000 residents, would have at max maybe 2 police officers.
Yes,
says you. Like, why can't there be more?
Also says a lot of media, like a lot of like stories that involve small towns and Like basically every bit of like small town horror media, like the sheriff's office is not big, or like if the town's this small, like 1,000 people, usually there's like minimum 2 officers and like maybe 1 or 2 SWAT cars or squad cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Still, that's minimum. Like, if a family moves in and their children both want to be police officers, when they grow up, they're going to become police officers if they push into it. Like,
yeah, but they'll be put where they're needed.
yeah, it is like the bureaucracy might not allow for like more than like three cops to be in this town because of its size. Like that's just
I don't know,
like,
man. 2 seems really low.
Well, okay.
It does,
to put
but-
this, to put this into perspective, in Canada, the average number of police officers per 1,000 people is 1.85.
Now I'm just picturing a 0.85
0.85.
person. A person that's just 8.5% of themselves. Oh my god. That's No Head Dan. We don't talk about No Head Dan.
Where'd you go with the head? He'd be dead.
That's what's creepy about it.
Oh, okay. This is a creepypasta.
Or that's Left Arm Jim.
Mhm.
He joined the force, and then like before he got transferred to this town, he had to have his arm cut off so he'd fit the statistic.
Really.
Oh god. So what we're saying is basically, gamer, is that like you feel that the amount of people that are in this town is not in Derpland. Because the cops are actually okay. The cops are actually a very like thorough presence in this community.
Well, that's probably the entire police force going to check out this one murder.
Of Derpland or of Ravenwood?
Ravenwood.
Yeah. That's fair.
Like, with how little shit happens, they're like, a murder's happened? Hell yeah, I want to go check it out. That's what all the civilians are saying too. Hence why they need 2 people to keep them away.
Now, I might buy it that like some of those police are actually like highway police. Like if this is in the if we're going by like state police kind of thing, like there is a difference between, or there are basically in towns you have the town's police officer or police force, and then you have the state highway police, which deal with things like around the county. But yeah. Yeah, it is. So that was my first thing about that, was like just the co-head thing, and then like we dove into like the police force and stuff. The next one is after the male had gone, he came up to me. So the male, I'd probably gone with like the entity or the winged man.
Or, the siren thing.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
He has called
after
it.
the siren, or even later in the story, he does call it the winged man. So like after the winged man or the siren had gone, comma, maybe add a comma there, my co-head came up to me, or my fellow officer came up to me, and then my third section thing here is and I allowed myself to become unconscious. And I'm sorry, I read that like I allowed myself to become unconscious, and I had a bit of a comedic twist to it. I know this is a creepy story, and I'm usually the defender of things being creepy and not silly, but I have to add this little part because it's just the way my head went when I was reading it. I was just like, I just pictured this guy sitting up and then going, all right, I sleep now, and lying back down and just instantly falling asleep, or just immediately blacking out.
Kind of. It's more along the lines of, at least the way I saw it is, he's like down on the ground, like struggling to stay awake because there's this creature that's going to kill him. And then once he's seen that he's not in danger anymore, he's like, okay, and he just relaxes, and then all of his adrenaline drops, and then knocks him out as well.
Yeah, I feel like
fighting to stay awake.
Exactly. That's how it should have been. But the way it was just like they wrote it in the story, it's just like kind of, I got a bit of a tickle in my mind about it.
Yeah, me too.
And I feel like it could have been written like, and at that point, I passed out.
There's a more dramatic way to put it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like now that I know that I'm safe, I've relaxed. and
allowed
passed out because
allowed
of it.
oblivion to take me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like death, though.
Well, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So moving on to my to the next section, which is the October 14th entry. I woke up in the hospital, which was another town over. I had bandages over my ears and head. The doctor came in and introduced himself. He told me I had been asleep for about 2 weeks and that my inner ear on my right ear was completely destroyed, is how I'm putting it. So first off, again, got a couple things to deconstruct on some of these paragraphs. Jesus, 2 weeks? God damn.
Put him in a coma or something.
Yeah, apparently he was just like that tuckered out from the psychic attack, I guess. But my second part here is, I wouldn't have so it's like, and that my inner ear on my right ear was completely destroyed, is how I'm putting it. I would have probably gone with like, and my inner ear on my right side. Just I feel like that would work better, and also maybe just remove is how I'm putting it at the end, just so it doesn't. It just sounds kind of weird.
It's being weirdly explained. I have a note on that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can go into it if you want. Like we're here, so.
Well, the thought that I have is, what if this is like Sonic X, where it doesn't kill the person, but they're in a vegetative state?
Ah, yes,
So,
persistent vegetative state.
So that girl earlier was still alive.
Oh no! And then they had a funeral 2 days later. Oh no! Also, when you said Sonic X, I didn't immediately go to Sonic.exe. I went to Sonic X, the cartoon, the anime. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that episode. Oh shit.
Yeah, my note on that is basically just asking, why is it being explained that way?
Yeah.
Because of how wishy-washy the dedication to the ear destruction is. It feels like it's foreshadowing hard that it's not really destroyed. Yeah. It's being like, my right ear is completely destroyed. That's how I'm putting it. At least that's how it was explained. It sounds like it was about to go, but no, after the magic wore off, whatever the hell.
I can still hear now. It's like, hey, the tinnitus is gone.
Yeah, but a simple, my inner ear on the right was just completely destroyed.
Yeah.
And just nothing else after that. No, I could not hear out of my right ear. That was the explanation. None of that. Just if your inner ear is destroyed, you can't hear.
Yeah.
My right inner ear was destroyed, so I could not hear. I couldn't hear anymore from that side.
Mm-hmm.
So, like something more committal and quick and to the point.
Yeah. No, I get you. All right, and then we have my last actual thought here. So at the beginning of the story, we had the author's comment about that this is a work of fiction, blah blah blah, and then we get this thing right at the end, and it's in it is in brackets, but it's not like separated from the story that well. Like the author's note, at least like the author's note has a horizontal line that separates it from the story. This one, it just kind of, you go right into it. And so this is what it says, like after the siren is here, like the last entry of the log is, and then it goes into this. Hello, people reading this. The description I put on here about what the being does to the soul is not completely correct, but I felt that for the story to be ended on the right note, I put what the human being would think it did. So we are left with eating them. If you want the truth, you will have to delve a little deeper into the siren. Thank you. Okay. I honestly feel like this part actually should have either been like separated better, or maybe just not even like put at the bottom. Like without the last author's like note bit here, like I like when I get to see some behind the scenes stuff of the creative process of like a story, but honestly, the ending, like stopping at like the siren is here at the end of that last log, is actually the better touch to the end of the story. Like it ends it with the hint of possibility of the doom of Gerwald, because like the creature's now here and he won't be writing anymore because he'll be eaten. Yeah, I feel like this behind the scenes, like kind of like like the behind the curtain kind of like paragraph here, kind of ruined the ending a little bit for me because I immediately read it. I was like, well, okay.
You can see right away it's the author, though. Like,
I know, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. Like I read it immediately after the story, and I was it kind of muddied muddied the story. I kind of get it, like why it's here. It's because this is like the person's like first like writing attempt for like a creepypasta from the sounds of the comments I saw. So they basically, it sounds like they maybe put this up here and then like wanted to get some feedback from people. So I give that credence. I just feel like this could have been separated from the story a little bit better. Like again, have like the horizontal line, and then even do like a further author's note kind of thing at the bottom.
Say author's note at the start.
Yeah, it does, or at least I believe it does. Does it not?
No.
But it okay. Yeah, that's true.
It's not even in brackets up there. It's just
it isn't in brackets, but it does have a horizontal line that separates it from the story itself.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, the brackets do the same job, but consistency again.
Yeah.
Would be good.
Yeah.
I understand the reason that's there because he or she is putting this information here so anyone doesn't comment being like, that's not how sirens work, blah, 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 blah.
I mean, you know what? That might have been, it might have been put up, or might have been posted, like posting. Wow. Yeah, might have been put on after the fact because they got a comment or something like that.
None of the comments talk about that though, so I don't think so.
All right, fair. Or maybe they did it as an afterthought.
I think it's just protection, being like, so he's basically saying, I understand how sirens work, but this is why I chose for Gerwald to say this.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my my last kind of actual thought on the story is just that, like the ending bit there. So
for me, that end note is just, for me, it wasn't necessary because I kind of figured it was an assumption that the character made already. Because how else would he come to those points about like soul taking and stuff?
Yeah,
unless
exactly.
Assumptions. Unless the siren's like talking to him in his head and telling him his secret plans.
Yeah, or maybe he got like some kind of visions, but we don't get that.
So I already assumed it was like the character just making assumptions, because what else could it be?
Yeah. Yeah. However, it is still a better detective work and assumptions than Detective Green from Sonic.exe round 2.
I mean, every police officer is better than him.
Even the PD of Derpland?
Is the PD of Derpland.
All right, so
Point to Derpland and Derek in that one episode.
Yep. All right, so Mikey, you said you had some stuff that's all over the place, so I guess it's your turn.
Well, I'll start with that ending note that we were just talking about. My issue with it is that it says basically there's more to the monster.
Yeah.
And my thought process is, well, why don't you write more and show us more about the monster instead of just saying there's more and then telling us to delve deeper into the siren without giving us a way to delve deeper into the siren?
He's saying look up sirens in general. Because this isn't a completely fabricated, unique, original monster. It's a siren. And he's saying if you want more information, look deeper into sirens.
Yeah.
Like actual mythological sirens.
Yeah, like look up the Greek myth of the sirens, basically, is what's going on. But I do understand where you're coming from. I kind of wish, like, this feels like, again, like the person like wrote the story and then posted it up for like feedback, and like I feel like it could have been like, yeah, like you said there, I would like some more like delving into the creature, like a little bit more investigation into the goings on of Ravenwood. But
because of that end note, you don't really need more clarification, because that end note is saying, look up what a siren does to their victims. Like, that's, if you know what a siren does to their victims, then that's what this one does.
Then I feel like maybe like that could have been added to the journal entry, like just as like maybe in that 2 months that that Gerwald's been like back from the hospital, he's been doing some research. If you want to know more about like, because at the beginning he even says like it's been 2 months and he's like if you hear the song run like start running kind of thing. So like maybe at the end there you have like an like the end of the entry is like that's like if you want to know more about like why you should be running from this thing, look up information on the sirens, and then like leave off with the siren is here, just to kind of like incorporate
it would be better to
narrative.
put it in the story than having it in a out of character moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh. Alright.
That's all I was getting at with that. So
That's sort of what I was getting at too. Is like, I want more story. Don't just say these
Yeah.
things.
show, don't tell.
Alright. So my next note here is about the beginning and the end. So the first sort of paragraph says, 2 months, that's how long I've been running. And so this sets the scene, and I was expecting there to be some sort of chase between him and the monster. But then at the end, all we get is 2 months after this, I'm hearing it, the song, and the siren is back type thing, and he hasn't done any running whatsoever.
Yeah, it could have said that like maybe he's like somewhere, he's not in Ravenwood anymore, like he's like somewhere far away. Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
When does he say that he's running?
At the very beginning, right? Actually, but sorry, we actually completely missed it between the author's note and the first log. There's like a blurb about him running, and that this thing is hunting him, and if you hear its song, just start running.
But he's saying like he's hearing that 2 months after this, he's like hearing the song and he sees himself several times. He's always near him. So if he's hearing the song and seeing him, he is clearly running from him, because if he didn't, then the song would continue to get more invasive into him and control him to pull him into the woods. So it's implied running.
True.
Instead of specifically saying like November 2nd today, he yelled at me from the woods.
Get over here!
Away. Yeah.
And then he like shows up and meets him. He's like, "Welcome." Oh, such an alluring song. Get over here.
All right. So my next note is about the shadow and how it appears at night, yet there's no real mention of the moon or any other light source that would help make the shadow visible.
Yeah, because this is clearly in the Dragon Ball Z universe, and the Earth has been destroyed by Piccolo.
Yes. Or it's like
or the moon has been destroyed by Piccolo, not the Earth.
Yeah, the Earth. But yeah, no, or it's like a movie that's like day for night.
Yeah,
so they just like they tint the film so that it looks darker, or there's just spotlights off camera that like illuminate where there shouldn't be illumination. It's an artistic styling.
And which shadows are you referring to in the recording?
No.
The
recording. The sightings of the creature initially.
Yeah, the sightings. Like, here's one from the old lady. While she was walking her little dog at night near the woods, she saw a shadow cross the ground where she was walking.
Yes, because they're streetlights.
Yeah, so if it's a huge shadow, then that means there's like a bat flying by the streetlight.
Possibly.
Or she just neglected to say that there was a full moon out, so hence why she saw the shadow.
But regardless, they're streetlights, so if something flew in front of the light, it would put a huge shadow down, even if it was just a little bird.
Yeah, but
So it's entirely possible that all these sightings and assumptions are just based on weird situations like that,
Yeah,
where it's nothing
yeah,
actually there.
that's true.
and there just happens to be an angel cosplayer in the woods. I think what Mikey was getting at is that like the story doesn't tell us straight up that there is some kind of nighttime illumination to allow for a shadow to fly overhead, or like for the creature's shadow to pass by.
Mhm.
One specifically, it's an old lady walking her little dog near the woods.
Yeah.
Which sounds like it's a sidewalk or something that's illuminated. The shadows
Yeah.
from personally.
Yeah, and then the
If it was
problem
someone
with that.
walking through the woods randomly and they saw it, then yeah, that's a little more sketch.
Yeah, unless they describe that there is a full moon, and then you could like the shadows of the trees and stuff were all over the place, and then something was moving along the shadows of the trees.
Yeah, you would have to be very specific because it's at night. Yeah. I'm with you, Mikey, but I'm also against you.
All right.
Same.
I'm both
honestly.
sides this episode.
That's my secret. I'm always contradictory.
Mhm.
All right, and that's about all I have to say on the actual thoughts.
All right. Gamer.
Alrighty then. So, loaded up the story here, and it's called The Siren. And I've been playing Killing Floor 2 on and off for years now. So until the creature was described, I was going to see the creature as a Killing Floor 2 siren. That's just how I started viewing this creature before description. Just wanted to put that out there.
You know, I don't know why I'm surprised.
You actually?
Kind of, but
The other way I could have went was Borderlands.
It is true.
are the gamer in yellow? Never mind.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, we get to the
Get some
intro.
goddamn literature, damn it.
What?
Educate yourself. There's some literature. So get some classical literature in you.
I know there's
That's
other
all I'm
sirens. Those are just the first ones that come to my brain hole.
Yeah, fair.
So, we get to the intro about it being fiction. The very first line. So as soon as I started reading the story, it's like the story is purely fiction. Any similarities in any way are just coincidence, blah, 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 blah. So right from the get-go, I'm like, well, there goes my immersion. From the very first line. That's a new record. Unbeatable record, actually.
It's interesting because this story came out around sometime in 2013 based off the editing history and stuff. So it was before a lot of people were getting like in the creepypasta world or in the creepypasta like communities were getting guff for not stating that your shit is fictional because people were being stupid in real life and following like Slender Man stuff or ritual pastas for reals. It's
Was there a
interesting that
timeline where you would have to specifically say that this is a work of fiction?
2016, 2017 is when that shit started happening. Because that was when those idiots started doing the Slender Man killings or like attempted killings.
Yeah.
It happened around that point, and like the community started having to like not crack down on that kind of thing, but they started like basically putting up like disclaimers to basically idiot proof their stuff.
Yeah. This author was actually ahead of the time then.
Yeah, to a degree.
Idiot proofing the story before it was necessary.
Unfortunately, because they idiot proofed it ahead of time, they kind of ruined the immersion that a lot of people enjoy in creepypastas. But
yeah, they should just do on the creepypasta wiki, just in like on the banner, just say all works here are a work of fiction.
Oh, they do now. It's
Looking
kind of
at
like
it, I don't see it.
I think or maybe they got rid of it after a while, but they did have like a disclaimer up there, like in big bold, like right at the top. But maybe they've gotten rid of it since then because it's like people have started realizing, oh yeah, this stuff's from the internet. It's probably not real. No duh.
I like Banjo-Kazooie there for a minute. Or just Banjo, actually.
Okay.
I've been playing a lot of Banjo.
You've been playing a lot of video games.
Yeah, I do.
Weird. It's almost like you're the gamer in yellow.
It's almost like there's nothing to do because
It's almost like we're still in quarantine.
Yeah, from the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
What? Okay, moving on.
It's a Game Grumps joke.
All right.
Oh, where the hell am I?
Who are you?
Who are you? So, I got to this point in the intro still, actually. That thing has been hunting me ever since I found out what it was. I must warn you of this being before you fall under its spell. If you hear it, run. Leave the area before he chooses you as a target. That confused me at the start because I wasn't sure if that was meant to be a typo because sirens are traditionally women.
Traditionally.
Yes. And also there goes my visual for the creature because it's not a Killing Floor 2 siren anymore if it's a dude.
Or a Borderlands siren because only all the Borderlands sirens have been girls.
Yeah, except for that one kind of spoiler-ish.
What? Oh yeah, I guess kind of yeah.
But
Sorry,
yeah,
it took me a second. It took me a second there.
but either way, looking deeper because as I read that, I'm like, okay, I need to actually find out 100%. So I looked deeper into the lore of sirens, and apparently, originally, sirens were also mentioned to be males, but at some point through all the mythological stuff, the male section of sirens was just cut out of the stories.
Yeah, I imagine the siren mythology. Oh, sorry. Continue.
I just said it just got phased out of the legend.
Yeah, I imagine the siren mythology, like the story of the siren, was probably the progenitor for like succubuses and incubuses.
Yeah, probably.
So like maybe that's where like the dividing line came out eventually. So
anyway, it is weird that section got cut out for reasons. It's just if there's any mention of sirens nowadays, it's all women.
Yeah, it's not too surprising, because like a lot of our history has been like patriarchal, so they'd want to try and demonize women historically.
Or no, I think it's more along the lines of men are idiots and they'll believe anything.
that too. There's also that.
Yeah, but jumping ahead past the bird sighting into the recording stuff. So Attic shows up in the recording. I was half expecting it to be Slenderman at this point.
Honestly, you're not like by the part where he starts describing a figure by the tree line. I was like, Slenderman. Is this a secret Slenderman story? Do I have a Slenderman story for Slender Month, even though we've passed it at this point?
Almost, but yeah.
Damn. Yeah. And then it became a Dark Angel.
Static, honestly, because it doesn't do anything to aid to the story, and it just puts on cliches that make it less original, even down to the monster at this point being a pure black monster with red eyes. It's just really overdone. It's like the most
easiest
to take a word from the intro. It's the stereotypical way to do a monster. Just it's a black monster with red eyes.
Yeah. At the same time, though, it is a very bold. Yes, it is a very well used and well worn motif.
There's a reason for that.
But there is a reason for that. Yeah. Are you about to go into that?
Yes, because it's effective.
Yes.
Yeah. So the recording happens. He sees all that, and then this quote comes up. I paused the video and thought. Then Then I realized something. The old woman I was talking to earlier today told me about a bird-like thing. I put the information together, flapping in a big shadow. So as soon as I read this, I'm like, uh-oh. Derek? Is that you? Because like I could see the connection as soon as the officer, quote unquote, told Gerwald that the woman claims a bird attacked her. As ridiculous as you may think the old woman's story is, it's a story the whole town knows, and you just heard it, so it'd be fresh in your mind. The inkling that this could be an actual creature should be there in the back of your mind right away. As soon as you see that there's a dead body and the surviving friend claims a bird attacked her. You should be assuming that now, not 5 hours after watching a video of it.
I think some of his delay might have come from like skepticism. Like again, like he does state like there's no bird that size. Like so like his mind might like have kept like postponing that revelation as far as he could, and then he couldn't ignore it eventually. So
maybe. Also, I am reading this as like someone reading a creepypasta called The Siren. So because of that, a reader could put things together quicker than the actual character could.
Yeah.
Could get that a pass, but still. There's no...
How dare you compare Gerwald Mintz? I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. And it's not like Gerald. It's not just like some other version of Gerald.
It is.
Is that actually like, is it supposed to be Gerald or Gerwald?
It's probably pronounced Gerwald, but it is a extension of Gerald.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Gerald Mintz, to how dare you, how dare two mice.
Well, just because in this one instant, it's like 5 hours to realize that, you know?
Yeah, he's got
I just would have liked. I would have liked something in between where it's
I do
where
feel
he's like
yeah.
Like, oh,
I'm letting you go.
I would have liked some. I would have liked some section in between, from him seeing the dead woman on the ground and getting the camera back to watch it. Like maybe like in this car on the way to go check out the video, being like, "Man, I was just told about some giant bird, and then like some giant bird story, and then this lady claims that a giant bird killed her friend. Could they be the same? No, that's bullshit. You know, like something like that." But as soon as he sees the actual evidence, then he's like, okay, maybe it is a thing.
Damn it.
There's no it's just so sudden.
Yeah.
It took so long. That's my whole point.
I do think that maybe that those 5 hours were occupied by the fact that there was a murder scene that they had to deal with, and he is the sheriff.
It's not said.
I know, but and that's actually part of my point is that like the story should have a little bit more about, you know, the investigation on the murder.
Yeah, it was kind of like, ooh, camera. He just picks up and walks away, and they're like,
Sheriff, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, he's going to Derpland. Stop him!
Yeah, a little bit.
That's my secret. I'm always Derpland. Oh god, that's gonna become a running trope in our stuff, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna make it a running thing.
God damn. Okay.
That's what Sonic 2, Sonic EXE 2 / round 2. Not how executables work. Moving on.
Yeah.
The section where he's attacked in real life and all that, and the full reveal. The quote is, "Then I heard a song. It was like a person was singing, but I couldn't find where it was coming from. It sounded like it was coming from everywhere, like it was just in my head." I kind of wish the song was described, because half of what a siren is their song, at least as far as I know.
Yeah.
So it's like way too glossed over. Heck, it doesn't even say that it sounds like a man was singing. It just says person, which makes it even more muddied as to what it actually sounds like.
I almost wonder the way he like says like there's like a bunch of voices speaking. I almost wonder if like when they eat the souls, it's like basically adds another voice to the choir when they sing.
Yeah,
like it's almost like a fear of the there's you know, like that. There's that theory that like in a couple of decades from now we're going to like be able to like connect our minds like together and like through like technology, and it will create a singularity, like kind of like we almost get like a fear of the singularity and like one of us join us like kind of thing. Like yeah, I feel like this like a little bit more descriptor on like the song would have been stronger, and maybe even tie it to the fact that like this thing eats souls, so when it eats somebody's soul, it adds their voice to its song.
But that's the problem. He wouldn't know that.
No, of
unless
course.
he does
Some research.
research after the fact in his 2-month absence. But
Yeah.
just even a rough comparison of what it sounds like compared to music he knows, or even just the out of character author jumping in with more notes here, being like, you can look up this YouTube video if you want a rough sound of what it sounds like, just something,
Yeah, that
because
would work.
as it's described as just a person singing, that could be taken many, many ways.
Yeah.
The way that you described it, I liked, saying like it sounded like a choir. Like it sounded like a gospel choir or something like that. That'd be cool if it said that, but it just
Because I
says
mean, the creature kind of gives like I wasn't actually thinking. I mean, I was kind of thinking Siren when I saw the creature when we get a description for it, like the winged person. Honestly, I was just getting like a fallen angel vibe from it. So
yeah, I had a note on that as well, but I changed that a little bit.
yeah, I was just like Azrael,
Yeah.
angel of death.
If it is meant to sound like a choir, like stereotypical, like or whatever, kind of thing, like a whole bunch
There's an awesome god. Yeah.
Then we get on to the visual reveal, and I don't know how I feel about the reveal because honestly, I think the main problem is the turtleneck that he's wearing. It made it weird. Like if it was a black long sleeve shirt or a black long coat or something, it'd be better. As it is, I could see this creature being at like a poetry jam or something because of the turtleneck.
See, you went there. I kind of went Dresden-y because I mean, okay. So full disclosure, I've gone through the entire Dresden series in the last few months because what else am I going to do in the quarantine? And there's a creature in there called the Fulmore. They're the faction of like basically like ancient eldritch fairy creatures, and some of their minions or agents in cities and stuff. They all wear turtlenecks, so they're called the turtlenecks because they hide the fact that they have like gills and like Frankenstein like flesh parts all over, like mutated flesh parts all over their body.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I was kind of getting a Fulmore vibe from this turtlenecked angel of death.
If it was like he was wearing a turtleneck, but his hands were like talons,
Yeah.
then it'd be like, okay, the turtleneck is covering like a scene where it would be showing feathers and shit.
Exactly. Like, yeah, maybe exactly. He's got like down, like almost like down feathers all over his body or on like certain spots, so he has to conceal them. That would make a lot more sense, and it would give him less of an angel vibe and more of like the siren or even like harpy vibe.
That is how they're described though. At least in the Wikipedia article I found, there's like a lot of different ways that they look, and one of them is you're a dude. Well, sorry, at that point it was a woman with angel wings and like bird feet, but that's it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different interpretations. Like again, like there's the fish version that a lot of pop culture gets into it.
Yeah.
But then there is the traditional bird aesthetic that probably also spawned or like maybe like kind of there's some cross mingling of like of stories between the sirens and the harpies because they both come from the same like geographical area and historical area, I guess. So
that fish way goes both ways. It goes like mermaid, but also just like an actual fish with a woman's head head on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, that's a good. I guess a plus to the story. It got us reading more into like classical mythology of like a monster.
Yeah, so I'm down with that because I found out that apparently there were actually male sirens because I had to look deeper, and because of this.
Yeah, because again, pop culture kind of definitely, or modern interpretations definitely side more on the them all being female.
Even not even just modern, like even way back in the day, it was cut out.
Yeah, but I mean like more modern, not like the roots of it kind of stuff.
Anytime that siren comes up nowadays, it's gonna be a woman of some kind.
Yeah, in fact, it's a surprise when it is like this story. I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised that the character was following like the old roots of a siren and also changing up the current interpretation or the mainstream interpretation of the creature. I actually give the story a lot of props for that. But
yes, however, majority of the praise that I gave there, I do have a point to bring up here.
Sure.
So this guy lives in the woods. So I kind of wish the clothes were mentioned to be dirty and torn in places, Because the way it's described, it's like he's walking out of the forest and into a Gap commercial, you know? He's just wearing like brand new shit.
He maybe he is, but he's like glamored up, so like he like looks clean and like, but he used like prestidigitation on himself, the spell from D&D, to make himself look nicer. But like really, he's like in rags, but like he looks more appealing. As
Could
maybe
he use
as
that
part
to
of
hide
the
his
song.
wings, though?
Maybe or maybe not. Maybe it's the like he's using the. Maybe he can't conceal that much, but he can conceal enough to make himself look more appealing to people.
But for all we know, he could be an anthropomorphic raven or something.
Yeah, he might just be a Tengu, or like the Raven from Native American folklore kind of stuff.
Possible. It would be kind of nice if that was hinted at. If like said this guy walked out of the forest and like his clothes were unnaturally clean and new,
or if they like he says that the feathers match the his clothing and stuff like that in that they were pitch black. Maybe like for a moment they almost look like feathers themselves, and then like they matted down and suddenly they became suddenly like the character like shook their head and saw that again, and they were a turtleneck and dark clothings and like military boots instead of like talons and downy feathers.
Yeah, like the turtleneck could just be like frills.
Yeah,
feathery frills on the actual creature.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be cool because of how detailed this visual reveal is. I feel like because they're already showing us everything, show us everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think what I'm played aside, I might actually like. I already drew up the creature, like the turtlenecked man with with wings. I might redraw another version of it and post that on our Patreon as like the true version of him, or like our interpretation of the Siren.
What up?
Yeah.
But that's enough on that. So moving on to the section about the hospital. So this is a minor note, kind of. It's sort of grammar-y, I guess.
How dare you? Okay, go.
Wakes up in the hospital, theorizes what happened, and then it cuts to 2 months later. And the cut is they sing songs that lead in people, and after that, no one knows. I do. I will not give in. I won't listen. Then there's just a jump down to the next line of him talking. 2 months after this, I'm hearing it, the song. Every other jump has been clearly noted and time-stamped. Why isn't that jump noted?
That is a surprise. Yeah, you think that, yeah.
Especially since this moment was talked about at the very start. Like, this is how it is now. So the last one would be like, I had 2 months, whatever the month and day was from there, and then go like put month down, time, and then like current day. So you know, like this is as of now. You know, like I'm writing this today.
Yeah, the more I question the like that, like the beginning section, and then going to the login or like the logs, and then going into this like last bit, the more I'm kind of questioning is if this is even supposed to be done up as a log entry, or if it's supposed to be like I recently watched the 30 Days of Night movie, the one where like a bunch of vampires attack a town in Alaska, and during the movie they actually like give you the date, like how, like, because over the whole movie happens over the course of a month, like that month of darkness that Alaska gets. So I'm almost wondering if that is a like if this is almost supposed to be done like more like a cinematic kind of style rather than log entries, where it's just giving us the times in which this character is experiencing this stuff.
It can't be though, because it's first person.
I know.
It starts with my name is Gerwald Mintz.
But I guess that is a contractor against the story, as I feel like if we're gonna go with like log entry like dates and stuff like that, then you should have log entry dates at the beginning section and also at the end section here, and not just like in the middle.
Well, it's like I'm treating the rest of like the actual timestamp stuff as a journal.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there.
And then so he has everything in a journal, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna put this on the internet just to warn people.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
So the intro bit is at the point of posting, and then he puts the stuff that he's been recording over the past few months, and then more at the moment of posting at the very end.
Yeah. Well, and that's the case. Then I guess then you should have something at the beginning that kind of shows that you are posting this somewhere, like not just like the blurb about like he's been running for 2 months. The thing if you hear its song run kind of thing. Like add and then have that in there, but add something that's like this is my warning to you, like this is my story kind of thing that I'm sharing with you kind of thing.
It's just saying like I'm posting this because this has happened to me, and I want to protect anyone out there who potentially sees this creature.
Yeah, and then it gives us more it gives us more of a reason or an out in terms of immersion for the character to have like ingrained sections of the story where it's like in brackets, check out this song if you want to like kind of get a rough estimate of what the song sounds like, or at the end go Google or Wikipedia up the Siren on Wikipedia or something like that.
Like keep it all in character. I would get such whiplash from this though, because the very start is the story is purely fiction. So like, okay, no immersion, but as soon as the story started, if it hit me hard with immersion, I'd be like, whoa, that immersion comes from. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's all.
Mike, do you have anything to contribute with this, or are you just listening in on our stupidity?
Just listening.
Okay. Always the silent observer. I like to watch.
Alrighty then, moving on.
Yeah.
I'm done with my notes.
Okay. Then I guess we go on to final thoughts. So it's a neat little pasta. I would have liked a little bit more to chew on regarding the initial murder and investigation, and like to get to know a little bit more about the creature, like we've kind of brought up in the story. And like I would like to know a little bit more, like have a little bit more of a dive into the creature itself and its interactions, because as it is, it kind of just like shows up, does some stuff, and then passes on, and or bides its time before the very end of the story. Other than that, I like this monster, this bird human siren creature. Like we said, like it kind of got us to like look into like the siren mythology, and it enticed us with its like kind of threat level here. I only wish we had more interaction and investigation into it. So that's kind of my the gist of my comments, my final comments on it. I would actually recommend this story because it is a nice little little short pasta. It's just got some work. It's definitely got a lot of room to grow as a story. So yeah, I'd recommend it. Mikey, D stands for evil, you evil son of a bitch.
All right. So my three main issues was the fact that the opening it has the 2 months, and then at the end it has 2 months, and it just at the beginning it's all about I've been running from this thing for 2 months, but we don't get that. It's just here's when I was first introduced to it, and then back to 2 months. So I really wanted a chase scene to happen based on that opening credit. And then the other issues, the shadow with no light source. It's really simple fix with just saying that the moon is out, or as stated, that there was street lights for when the old lady is walking. And the last part that I didn't care for was how large the police department was for such a small town. It just took me out of the immersion, because 1,000 people should only have about 2 police officers.
1.8.5. 1.85.
Yeah.
I want that half person, or that 75% of a person. Damn
it. Yeah. So, and even though the monster was interesting, I want more information and more of a story and that whole section at the end of the story is saying go look up sirens if you want more information just seems more like a slap in the face than anything else.
Like,
So-
homework.
Yeah, I did kind of get a little bit of that, but I think our like suggestion of like if this was made more like immersive in that this is somebody posting this to like get people's awareness of it, it might help it with that.
yeah.
Like if Gerwald is like, if you want more information, look up a Wikipedia article because I'm not going to type out the whole thing for you here.
But so with all that said, I'm not going to recommend this.
That's fair. All right, Gamer in Yellow, your verdict. Dun dun.
Was mine the deciding vote or something?
No, I'm just being dramatic for
Oh, okay.
reasons. For raisins.
Gold raisins.
Disgusting
So-
raisins.
I was reading this. I didn't really have a strong feeling one side or the other with it, honestly. There was a couple annoying parts, but nothing that really made me angry or anything like that. It gets props for taking a well-known legendary creature and show us some deeper lore that I don't think most people know, namely
Or realize.
sirens. Yeah, namely sirens being males and potentially having an angel-like look to them. It's a cop-focused story, but there's no investigation shown, so Gerwal being a cop almost holds no value to the story at all. Like, it could just be the old woman as the main character, and everything...
Or heck,
would-
Gerwal could have just been a dude in the town who just happened to find the camera outside of the crime scene perimeter.
Oh yeah, I guess if he wasn't a cop, he wouldn't be privy to that evidence.
But again, you could homebrew. You could not homebrew it. You could like logistify it by saying that like it was found beyond the perimeter that the cops had laid out, and he decided to take it home and try and like stupidly figure it out. I guess it would lead to a little bit more stupidity on Gerwald's side, but yeah.
Yeah, and it would make the town be a little bit more like Derpland.
God damn it, Turpland.
Yeah, so I guess that part's not good. He does need to be a cop. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of cop procedural stuff going on.
Yeah. Not as bad as some other stories that we've done, but definitely, I think it's just because there's a lack of details that we get in the story.
Yeah.
But
I was hoping to see how he would deal with this creature stalking him, like getting the cops on it. Did he tell anyone about it? Like,
No,
is he carrying a gun everywhere now?
yeah. What happened? Like, what happened in those 2 months? Is he like gone off the grid? Like,
Yeah.
has he gone full? Like, I dared my best friend to ruin my life. Like, where he's just like out there on the run.
Him being on the run could be like he's still in the same town, but every time he sees the creature, he has to run away from it. He's technically on the run still, but he's still living and working in the same town, or he left town. I don't know. It's not enough words.
Yeah.
I do wish the song was described better. In this situation, knowing what Gerwald looks like is less important than knowing the main feature of a siren.
The siren song is just "Man on the Run."
Yeah, it could
Man
literally
on
just
the
be
run.
that sung by 1,000 people.
Yeah. Oh God. Just like 1,000 times over, just like
Yeah, totally.
reverberating. Jesus Christ! No wonder his ear was destroyed.
Man, the best I can give it is like a maybe, I guess, because it is interesting, but I don't know. Like I said, I didn't really have a strong feeling one way or the other. But
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll give it a light recommendation because it is Siren creepypastas out there probably in a lot of different ways. So I'll give it props for that.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of potential in it, I feel. But all right, if that's it, that has been this week's episode. So if you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave it in the comment section below. It gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can also send us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCP entries, spooky stories, and spooky subjects that you would like us to do a kitchen episode on, or what have you. 2 months. Sorry. I almost started going walking at the beginning, and I just fell into it a second there.
I saw that.
If you'd like to talk to us on Twitter, we are all on Twitter by varying degrees. Mikey is at the E Stands for Evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without that W, because
My name's way too long.
And I'm at Review Cultist. If you'd like to help support the show financially, you can go to Patreon, look up Al Dente Rigor Mortis, and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $5 and $2 tier with special episodes, early access, content like images and such, and all that kind of stuff. To our patrons that are helping support the show, thank you guys immensely, because as always, you're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely, because, well, without your listenership, we wouldn't have much of a show, and without your stories to read and discuss, we really wouldn't have much of a show. So thank you. If you'd like to if you'd like to check out our Redbubble account, look up Crazon Studios or Al Dente Rigor Mortis, and you can get the logo on various products: t-shirts, clocks, stickers, shower curtain.
We're not gonna judge.
A throw pillow, a blanket, a comforter for your bed.
I'm gonna start buying like all of my things with the Gamer
also
logo on it.
We've got they've recently started up with pins and because of the pandemic, masks. So you too can have a giant like Al Dente Rigor Mortis Maw logo for your quarantine mask.
That's pretty sick, actually.
Yeah, I kind of want to buy one. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so that has been this week's episode. I have been Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.